Do you guys remember when we talked about this? Or when we talked about this? Maybe you remember when we talked about this infamous dinner toast. All of those posts had one thing in common, and that was narcissistic families. Specifically, how being raised in a narcissistic family underneath a female narcissist can potentially affect the offspring of that female narcissist and how they land in relationships in adulthood. Yeah? Well, all of that, my lovelies, has led us here to this, the saga of Kyle Richards Umansky. You see, in the last months, we've seen dramatically changing Kyle, both on and off the screens, scripted and unscripted. And when one has the experience that we do of being raised by narcissists and learning to perform for them, one gets a little suspicious of such outward changes. Because as we know, as people raised by these narcissistic individuals, you have to learn to play an image, to play a part, to perform whatever your narcissistic parent wants in order to be safe and loved. And when you know that, you can't help but to question some of the things in Kyle's past, specifically Big Kathy. Big Kathy was the prototype for Kris Jenner. She created the blueprint for the Kardashian model. You see, Big Kathy was one of the most infamous names in Hollywood, and she lived by this rule of marry as many wealthy, powerful men as you can and have as many children as you can by them. But that's not all that Big Kathy was known for. You see, what Big Kathy is known for, more than her daughters, is her violent and insane nature. She was an infamous stage mother who started hawking her children as early as possible. I think they said Kathy started doing adverts or modeling at 2 months old. Same thing for Kim. There's a story that when Paris was a teenager, she came home and said that someone had bullied her at school, a boy had bullied her at school. So Kathy, and this is supposedly a verified story, Kathy said, "Listen, you ugly little pimple face, don't F with my granddaughter. If you so much as speak to her again, I'll come over there and destroy you." This is what she called and said to a teenager. Note here, it says Kathy was notorious for having a propensity for violence and being a heavy drinker. More on that in a second. Even in high school, when she got pregnant with Kathy, the people around her said she knew how to get what she wanted. She wanted this hot football player, and she was going to have him by any means necessary, so she got pregnant as quickly as possible. It didn't go well. When she realized that that guy was broke and not going anywhere, she started a relationship with a married man named Kenneth Edwin Richards and immediately started harassing his wife, getting into fights with her, like public altercations with his wife, and basically saying, "I don't care, this is my man, and you're going, and I'm going to be the new you." This is Kyle and Kim's dad, by the way. Kyle and Kim's dad was married, not to their mom at first. Here's one of the stories of literally a public confrontation that Kathy had with the man's wife. Okay, she did not care who saw what was going on. There were witnesses that said they saw her then pour things in this woman's drink after the confrontation. She went and poured something in this woman's drink. She eventually got her man, but that was not the end of the drama. There's another story here. She hated Richards, her new husband's mother, so she fed her dog food once and then bragged about it and laughed. The stories go on. She even harassed Richard's daughter, pushed her out, and then there's later when she gets married, she does it again. This is a pattern you see consistently with Kathy. She gets these men and then she forces their old families out of the picture, out of the finances, out of their lives. But usually those exits didn't come without major drama, like this time that she allegedly put a screw in her stepdaughter's food to either break her teeth or choke her. Eventually, though, Richard still didn't have enough for her, and she ended up getting with someone from the mafia, who then ended up going to prison, and she left him for someone else. She married this widower who was this really handsome, like athletic guy, and he was apparently well known for how good he looked at his age. And once he got into a relationship with her, the people around him said there was a significant decline, and then she went and made him write his daughter like out of the will and out of the finances, and she also made him sell his house, take that money, renovate her house, and left him with nothing in the end. Here's a quote here from Jerry Oppenheimer, who wrote the now out of print, unpublished book, House of Hilton. But the quote is, "She made his life a living hell." Big Kathy. This is Big Kathy. Why all of this? Why do I think that this is so important? Because it could potentially tell a story about this dramatically changing facade, this whole new lifestyle, this whole new way of being, tons of tattoos suddenly out of nowhere, almost a different person. And then why things like this feel so awkward. Because, you know, it sounds like from these alleged stories of Big Kathy, she was a terrifying woman to be around if she didn't get what she wanted, if her children weren't showing up the way she demanded. And we've heard Kyle say over and over again through various seasons that she has lived her life for her family, for her husband. She did what her mother wanted her to do. She said that before. We've heard this. And you know, I'm not saying that Big Kathy was a narcissist. Sounds like there was a lot more at play. But if she were, wow, wouldn't it explain why someone potentially changes so dramatically for someone that they are potentially with, trying to get the love of? I don't know. What do you think? I think that this bears the markings of patterns we've seen before. Let me know what you think in the comments.